in this video, I'm going to be teaching something that you don't know that I know, and that is frame control. All right. So for everybody that follows me that is a salesperson or realtor, you already know what I'm going to talk about. But for those of you that don't know, this is a very powerful dynamic and tool to understand and use to your advantage whenever you're in dialogue with someone, girl, boy, boss, anybody. And the key here is to understand how a frame works and how to control it. Now, the way a frame works is when you're reacting to the other person and that person has now control over the frame. Or when you're asking somebody questions, you're now in control of the conversation because that person is now reacting to you. So you're now in control of the frame. A good example of this is when you get pulled over and you're like, fuck. You reach for your glove compartment, you get out the ID, you get out your registration, everything. You put your hands on the wheel because you ain't trying to get shot or tased or anything like that. And you look in the side view mirror, you see the cop pull up, and he's like, license and registration. And you're like, fuck, all right. And you give it to him. He now has control of the frame because he's an authoritative figure and he's asking the questions. That's frame control. Now, people fall prey to this all the time. I'm not saying like you should reframe it and say, cop, like, what did I do wrong or anything like that? No, don't do that in that situation unless you're trying to get shot or you're trying to blow up on WorldStar or something. But another good example of this would be when you go to a dealership and you have an appointment with a salesperson. And the salesperson, let's say, has 30 minutes, or that's what your appointment was scheduled for. You walk in and the salesperson says, hey, thanks for coming in today. However, I only have 20 minutes to meet with you. So let's make this quick. The average person would say, oh, okay, thank you for taking the time to meet with me. Look around, see if it's probably busy. It looks busy, and say, it looks pretty busy, but I appreciate your time. That right there is a fucking beta move. Because number one, you're giving the other person more power and control over you, and they now have an even greater frame control. So that's not what you want. And also, you're just wasting your time. So a better way to do this is you should say, oh, you only have 20 minutes? Well, I only have 15 minutes, so you better make this quick and worth it. Boom, right there. And also smile when you say that. So if you say, I only have, 15 minutes to meet with you, you better make this quick and worth it. That's also a push and pull right there because I'm pushing on a false time constraint, but I'm also pulling with a smile. And if you watch my push and pull video, you'd understand that dynamic. Very powerful tool. But the key here is to remember that you own the frame, and when you own it, you can control it to your agenda. But at the same time, you determine the rules under which the game is played. Because remember, communication is a game of chess. And we're not just talking just to talk. Like the average person does that. You need to establish yourself as a higher figure, an authoritative figure in all interactions. You don't want to just be an average person and get by and let people boss you around and take control of you and waste your fucking time because you're really not going to get anywhere like that in life. You have to have self-esteem and know how this stuff works because then you can now apply stuff to your advantage and open more doors for you in the long run, which will be even more lucrative in your life. So that's how you take control of a frame. And remember, like for my ladies out there who are watching this, if your man's like, yo, like, where were you last night? Asking you questions and shit, he's taking control of the frame because he's the one asking the questions. So what you can do is answer them and bounce back with the question. So now you take control of the frame. You see what I'm saying? And there's many ways to do this. There's 4 frames. There's 4 different types of frames, but I just didn't get into them in this video because it would just be super long. But if you want to know the 4 types, drop a comment saying what are the 4 types, or make a video on the 4 types, and I'll be more than happy to make one. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one, all right? Peace.